The Kaduna evening was alive with music, laughter, and glowing flames dancing under a wide, starlit sky. It was the highly anticipated NYSC Bonfire Night, an event meant to bring together corps members from every corner of Nigeria. The air buzzed with the aroma of suya, roasting corn, and perfume from excited young Nigerians dressed in white khaki trousers and orange jungle boots. Among the crowd was Osagi, a soft-spoken Bini Corps member with a love for poetry and a quiet presence. Tonight, he stood near the fire, scribbling verses into a tiny notepad, lost in thought. Nearby, his roommate, Toby, a lively and sharp Yoruba guy from Ibadan, was laughing with a group of friends. At the center of the circle was Amira, a beautiful and intelligent Hausa Fulani girl who had quickly become the object of many men's attention, including Toby's. She was witty, graceful, and had a smile that left boys speechless. What no one knew was that Amira was hiding a secret that would set off a chain of events neither she nor Toby could control. It all began with a phone, a sleek iPhone 13 that disappeared just after the final dance performance. The announcement came like a thunderclap over the loudspeakers. "Attention Corps members, a phone has been reported missing. Please remain calm and stay in your designated platoons." Murmurs turned to whispers, whispers to accusations. Someone claimed they saw Osagi near the benches where the phone was last seen. Toby's laughter faded as panic settled over the camp. He knew Osagi had barely moved from the fire except to write in his notepad. Security personnel moved quickly, checking bags and asking questions. Osagi's bag was opened without his consent. Inside, they found a power bank and a charger, but no phone. Still, a voice from the crowd shouted, "Check his pocket!" Before he could protest, they frisked him. And to everyone's shock, there it was, the missing iPhone, tucked deep inside his jacket pocket. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Osagi's mouth fell open. "I swear I've never seen this phone in my life." Toby's heart thudded. He looked at Amira. Her eyes flickered with panic for just a moment. A glance so quick, only someone watching closely would notice. Toby had seen it. He knew what that look meant. Now he had a choice to make, and the clock had just started ticking. The silence in the room that night was deafening. Toby sat on the edge of his bunk bed, his thoughts running in loops. Osagi had been taken to the camp commandant's office for questioning. Some of their platoon mates had already branded him a thief. Others muttered about tribal bias. Toby couldn't sleep. He glanced across the room at Amira's photo on his phone. She had smiled at him just hours before the incident. Could someone with such a warm heart be capable of something so cold? Memories flashed back. Amira slipping something into her handbag quickly during the final performance, her eyes darting around. Toby hadn't thought much of it then, but now every detail seemed like a puzzle piece fitting into a sinister picture. He rubbed his forehead and stood up, pacing the room. Should he tell the truth and risk destroying Amira's reputation? Or should he protect her and let Osagi suffer a punishment he didn't deserve? A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. It was Ajoki, a no-nonsense Corps member known for her blunt honesty. She looked him dead in the eye and said, You know he didn't do it. So what are you going to do?" Then she turned and walked away, leaving Toby alone with the weight of a secret and a decision that would change everything. Morning arrived with tension thick as fog. The Corps members assembled for the daily parade, but the usual excitement was absent. Whispers buzzed like mosquitoes, and all eyes darted to the camp's administrative building. That was where Asagi had spent the night, locked away like a criminal. Toby stood stiffly in line, the sun beating down on him. But all he could feel was the coldness in his chest. The commandant finally appeared, flanked by two stern-faced security officers. "Corps members," he began, his voice sharp, "we will not tolerate theft, no matter who you are or where you are from. The young man in question has failed to provide a convincing explanation. Unless the owner of the phone steps forward or evidence is produced by noon, he will be handed over to the police." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the platoons. Toby's stomach twisted. Noon. That was all the time Asagi had. He looked toward the female platoon line. Amira stood tall, her face expressionless, her lips pressed into a thin line. He couldn't read her. Was she scared, guilty, or simply indifferent? Back in the hostel, Toby tried to focus on packing his belongings for the next phase of their service year. But each folded shirt, each item tucked into his bag, reminded him of Osagi's bunk. Empty, silent, and unjustly accused. Noon was fast approaching, and Toby's conscience screamed louder with every tick of the clock. Toby checked his watch, 10:37 a.m. The tension was unbearable. He paced the corridor between the male hostel and the canteen, rehearsing what he might say if he decided to speak up. But each version ended the same way, with Amira's betrayal becoming public. He didn't want to hurt her. He liked her, maybe more than he admitted. But what kind of person would he be if he stayed silent? He sat on a concrete block under the shade of a neem tree and stared into the dusty distance. Corps members passed by, whispering, laughing nervously, carrying files, bottles of water, and secrets. Then he saw her, Amira, walking toward the camp mosque. She didn't look back. She didn't seem weighed down by guilt. That made Toby's insides boil. Was she truly heartless, or just afraid? Ajoki joined him silently, her tray of rice and stew balanced on one hand. "You don't eat, you won't think straight," she said, sitting beside him. Toby forced a smile. "I don't think straight either way." She looked at him with fierce eyes. "Then let me help. I know Amira was near that bench too. I saw her holding two phones, but I need you to confirm it. Did you see anything?" Toby hesitated. Ajoki leaned in. "If you don't speak up, Osagi's life could be ruined. Can you live with that?" The words hit Toby like thunder. He had less than an hour. A choice, a voice, a friend's future hanging by a thread. At 11:10 a.m., Toby walked into the camp chapel. Not to pray, but to hide. The silence offered something his heart needed, space to breathe. He sat on a wooden pew and closed his eyes. His mind rewound to the first week of camp when he and Osagi first met. Osagi had offered him water after a long drill, smiled like they'd known each other forever, and even helped him patch his torn trousers with needle and thread. A loud voice broke his thoughts. It was Pastor Mike, the spirited Corps member who led the fellowship. "You're early, bro. You look troubled." Toby shook his head, trying to mask his turmoil. "I'm fine." But Pastor Mike saw through the lie. Sometimes truth is heavier than silence, and silence more dangerous than lies. Toby stared at him, startled. Was this man a mind reader, or had guilt written a confession across his face? If someone you care about is in trouble and you know how to help, would you? Pastor Mike smiled gently. I'd ask God for strength. Then I'd do the right thing. Toby looked at the cross behind the altar, then at the time on his phone, 11:23. He got up. His knees shook, but his feet carried him forward. He didn't have all the answers, but he had clarity. Osagi was his friend, and friends don't let friends walk into storms alone. It was time to speak. Toby's feet dragged against the sandy pathway leading to the administrative block. Every step felt like betrayal, yet liberation. His chest tightened with each corps member he passed, some humming, some laughing, none knowing the weight of the choice he had made. The sun bore down on him like judgment, and the sound of the soldiers' whistles in the distance added to the pounding of his heart. He spotted the commandant's secretary outside the office, writing in a ledger. She looked up as he approached. "Yes?" she asked. Toby cleared his throat, the words refusing to roll off easily. I have something to say about the phone theft." She raised an eyebrow, then called out, "Sir, you might want to hear this." Within seconds, Toby was ushered into the commandant's office. Osagi sat in the corner, wrists clenched together as though trying to hold on to his dignity. His eyes widened when he saw Toby. The commandant leaned forward. "What is it, corps member?" Toby's mouth opened, then closed again. He glanced at Osagi. "I need to tell you what I saw that night. The person who stole the phone, it wasn't him." There was a pause, long and thick like harmattan fog. "Go on," the commandant said, voice low but firm. Toby took a deep breath. "I saw Amira with the phone. She was holding 2 phones that night. I didn't think anything of it then, but..." He swallowed hard. "She was at the benches before anyone else noticed the phone was gone." Osagi sat up straighter. His eyes locked with Toby's in disbelief, then gratitude. The commandant nodded slowly. "You realize what this means, don't you? If you're lying, there will be consequences." "I know, sir, but I'm not lying." Within minutes, Amira was summoned. She walked in with the calm of a queen until she saw the lineup in the room. Her face shifted slightly. "What's this about?" she asked. The commandant eyed her. "Sit. We need to talk." Toby couldn't tell what was scarier, Amira's cold composure, or the storm that was just beginning to rise behind it. Amira took her seat with deliberate elegance, her eyes scanning the room. She met Toby's gaze and held it, as though daring him to blink. "I don't understand what this is about," she said, voice steady. The commandant steepled his fingers. "Corps member Toby here claims he saw you in possession of 2 phones during the bonfire night. One of them may have been the stolen phone Osagi was accused of hiding." Amira scoffed softly. "Sir, I had my phone and my roommate's. She had a stomachache and couldn't come out. I was helping her keep an eye on hers." She turned to Toby. "Is that what you saw and assumed?" Toby hesitated. The confidence in her response was disarming. "That's not how it looked," he replied quietly. Amira leaned back. "Did you see me steal anything? Did you see me put a phone in Osagi's pocket?" Silence hung thick in the air. Because if not, this is character defamation. The commandant glanced at Osagi, then back at Amira. "You may go for now." She stood, nodded, and walked out, graceful as ever, but with a sharpness to her steps. Osagi leaned forward. "Sir, I didn't take that phone. I still don't know how it got into my pocket." The Commandant sighed. "I'm not fully convinced either, but without concrete proof, we cannot punish anyone further. You'll both remain under watch." Toby's heart sank. The truth was half spoken, but justice was still just out of reach. The news spread faster than a wildfire. Some Corps members believed Toby's story. Others claimed he was lying because Amira had turned him down romantically. A few whispered that Osagi and Toby had cooked up the story to shame her. Truth had become a game of perception. Back in the hostel, Toby found a note slipped under his pillow. "You talk too much. Careful, Mr. Hero." There was no signature, but the message was clear. Someone didn't want the truth poked at anymore. Meanwhile, Osagi was quieter than usual. He went to drills, marched, and kept to himself. The poetry notebook disappeared from his hands. Toby tried to talk to him one night, but Osagi only said, "Thank you. But not everyone believes I'm innocent. Not even me sometimes." As camp days rolled by, the final postings for the place of primary assignment, PPA, were announced. Toby was sent to a school on the outskirts of Zaria. Osagi, surprisingly, was posted to a local government office in the same town. Amira? She was sent to the Ministry of Health. Zaria, too. 3 stories, 1 town. The real story was just beginning.